My name is Tex Marshall. I'm very pleased to be here in Wamakuk this evening for our second Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Sport Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Just like to take this opportunity to introduce some special guests we have here tonight. Of course, we heard from Jigeptin Antledeni, the Sante Mawiomi. Welcome here, Jigeptin. Hello. And we also have the leader, Sama, Chief of Wamakuk First Nation, Norman Bernard. And we also have our Director of Provincial Services, Communities, Culture and Heritage of Nova Scotia, Mr. Aaron Nutting, here with us this evening. Just some behind the scenes people that we have here. Of course, co-chair of the Mi'kmaq Sport Council, Colin Bernard, right here in front of me. And we also have members of Nova Scotia Tripartite Sport and Recreation Committee, Jim Hepworth, Blaise Landry, and Mr. Levi Denny. Tripartite Sport and Recreation Commission Committee, I should say, through the Project Fund, sponsored the banners that you see on the sides here. Lovely banners of our inductees of last fall when we had our inaugural ceremony in Millbrook First Nation. So when you get some time this evening, a little time, please go over to view our banners of our inaugural inductees of the Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Sport Hall of Fame. So I just want to welcome once again everyone. It's a special night. We have 3 new inductees tonight. But our next order of business would be a welcome address from Chief Norman Bernard of Wamakuk.
Good evening, and once again, welcome to Wamakuk. I'm Norman Bernard, the chief of this great community. Tonight we're here to honor our Hall of Fame inductees. It's important that we celebrate our own people and their accomplishments, as we sometimes don't take the time to recognize the great things which our old people have done in their lives. I'm also the president and chairman of the Mi'kmaq Sports Council of Nova Scotia and hold the sports portfolio for the Assembly of Nova Scotia Chiefs. I take that responsibility very seriously. I truly believe in power of sports. Sports matters, sports makes leaders, sports saves lives. Our youths of today have some great opportunities, such as the North America Indigenous Games, National Aboriginal Hockey Championships, and of course, our very own Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Summer Games. Myself and my colleagues, the Chiefs of Nova Scotia, truly believe in our youth, and we have supported them with all of these opportunities. I take great pride in congratulating our Hall of Fame inductees tonight. Alex Denny, Noel Paul, and Charlie Peter Google. Congratulations to the inductees and their families. I hope you enjoyed this evening and encourage everyone to take part in the summer games this week. Walayo. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Norman. I just want to say and convey my sincere gratitude to Chief Norman. Without a doubt, he supports youth and youth activities tirelessly. He's been the greatest supporter of youth in Nova Scotia and throughout the country, really. Without Norman, you'd support him. Thank you very much, Aaron. As I said, throughout the country, provincial Aboriginal sport organizations and the provincial governments have partnerships. Those type of partnerships vary. I consider our partnership in Nova Scotia as a platinum one. We have a very strong partnership with our colleagues in the province. So once again, thank you very much, Aaron, for your support and your guidance and leadership. It's very much appreciated on behalf of all the Mi'kmaq communities. Thank you very much. I think when we look at sport, one of the things that is necessary, a necessity for sport, is leadership. One of the greatest sports leaders of all time is Mark Messier of the Edmonton Oilers, New York Rangers. But one of the fundamental aspects of Mark Messier's personality is that he led by example. He did his talking on the ice. So our guest speaker tonight exemplifies that whole model. This person has done his talking on the ball field, on the ice, in basketball courts. Been a phenomenal athlete his whole life. Was a coach, an organizer, a supporter, and now he's a very proud parent, teaching his children to be excelling in life and in sport. So we're very pleased to welcome our guest speaker this evening, Jigepti Nandleleni.
Well, in text, some August we do what is called Crosby, it's Crosby. So, we see this, a lot of services, doodling, considering they will die, yeah. Edley, I'll go Giskook, or a cheese, a junkie, Mugini Mutana, Migualogik, that you Ankidia Modanik, and Delagumugik, then the Midlia will teach it, Telagisa do teach, the drunk comes. Look at the media go away, Tidial Moxino. Look at the media go and kiss at the media, and look at it. Glamana, Niedichka, Goskal, and Sidon, and Swan Sidimido. Well, there's Vigida Homestead. All the cheese gets at it. It's very bright up here, I don't know. But anyway, I had to just relay the message that Norman said you better praise Crosby of the Penguins. Well, he's from Nova Scotia, and that's, he's in Mi'kmaq territory. That's where he learned. That's the utmost praise I can give to Mr. Crosby, Norman. But I want to welcome all of you here. It's ironic, when you look at the fact that, the very first class of Mi'kmaq Hall of Fame inductees. Take a good look at it because it's important to recognize our own, recognize our own people. And I really am so proud of the friendship, the alliance that we have with the province. It is now, coming to bear fruit, that as friends, as allies, you look at the tripartite forum and the sports committee, it really helps the communities in the nation in so many ways. It's when you look at the TRC calls to action. One of the calls to action was the fact that we needed to look at our people in sports and remember them. So when you look at that, when you look at the history, there's so many of our athletes, who have gone by. I remember Simon Marshall. He used to be a vidus of the Grand Council. And I would like to, just remember him because he used to run in the Boston Marathon, in the 20s and 30s, or 40s, I'm getting on in age, so I don't remember the dates. But the thing is, that's a world-class marathon where you have people from all over the world coming to run. And we had Simon Marshall running that numerous times. And he ran at a time when you didn't just go to compete. You didn't just go to say, I was at the Boston Marathon. He actually went there believing that he could win. He went there to win. So when I was looking at Facebook this morning, for example, I saw Chief Leroy on Facebook, but he had the triathlon. And that was such a beautiful idea of having the triathlon when you had to the archery, bringing back some of our cultural activities, something we did every day, year round. So it's important as we move forward. When we look at kids, I was at the ball field earlier, and do you know what the best thing was about being at the ball field? First of all, kids were playing ball. Kids were throwing the ball around on the sidelines, watching the game, running, going after foul balls. But the best thing about it was, I didn't see one kid on their phone. They were actually participating in something. They weren't on their computer. You see? When you look at the Hall of Fame, any Hall of Fame, whether it's just a Mi'kmaq Hall of Fame or a Canadian Hall of Fame, Hockey Hall of Fame, every athlete that's inducted or every builder that's inducted to a Hall of Fame does it because this is how he was brought up. They don't go for the prestige. Every child that's playing ball out there plays because they love it. They just want to participate. And it's important that we look at the future. And I love the fact, Aaron, that you mentioned that we finally had kids on the Nova Scotia Canada Games. We've been always going after the province. How come you don't invite any of our kids to participate? But at least now we have a stepping stone where we know when tryouts are. Our kids have that opportunity to represent Nova Scotia. And we need to go further than that. When you look at the summer games here, I remember the very first summer games that were in 1974, I believe. Like I say, give a year or two. But they were known as the Maritime Indian Summer Games at the time. And one of the reasons that they brought the games back was within the 7 districts of Mi'kmaq territory, and at the time we even included the Maliseet Nation, from Tobik and so forth. But the fact is, we didn't know each other. Families didn't know each other. Friends didn't know each other. So it was important to bring the games back from that aspect, looking at our culture of maintaining those ties. To know, because any time, and all of you know, any of you that travel, if you meet someone, no matter where you go on vacation, you'll meet a Mi'kmaq, and you'll feel right at home. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be a neighbor. It could be someone from another village. But the fact is, our tradition, our custom, and our sense of responsibility to each and every one of us, you just feel at home when you meet a person. And that's the same thing now with non-Mi'kmaq people too. When you meet a friend, and whether you're traveling, you're acquainted again. You have that alliance. And that's important. That's important for our children to understand why we have these games. But we need to step it up a bit. And what I mean by that is, I mentioned Simon Marshall, but there's so many men and women that I could mention, but we need to take it a step higher when I say we have the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships, and to me, we should be inviting the International Ice Hockey Federation. We need to invite U.S. colleges. We have to promote our children. But that's the thing. Our children have to be promoted too. They have to want to make it somewhere. Norman spoke about Crosby. But if you just look at how hard Mr. Crosby works to be at the top of his game, I think back to guys like Wayne Morris, and many of you know Wayne Morris here in Wamak. He's one of your teachers. But Wayne was a long-distance runner, and he ran in many summer games. And the best thing about it was Wayne trained. He trained and ran every day. And that's the message that we have to send out to our kids. They have to be dedicated. They have to want to do it. We can't force them to get off TV or computer. Kids want to have to compete because of the love of it. My father, I was surprised he was, he's one of the inductees tonight. But my father, for example, I think it's 1955 or 59, but he won the Tom Longboat Award, which was the top athlete in Canada, top Indigenous athlete in Canada at the time. Because he was dedicated. He loved doing what he did. And that's why I mentioned these people are inductees. You know, Jim Maloney, you know. I was so proud of him. Joe Marshall, Peter Julian, you know. And they started the Wally Bernard Memorial Hockey Tournament, and it's been going on for 45 years now. And we have numerous kids that went on to play in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Some even turned pro. You see, we're giving them that opportunity, and our kids need to take advantage. I've always tell Norman, you have a golf course less than 10 minutes away from here, a world-class facility. More of our kids should be taking up golf. You know, it's important to give our kids that opportunity, but it's up to the parents too to make those sacrifices. You know I've made a lot of sacrifices for my children, as my father had done for me. But it's important that children, you know, need support, they need understanding, they need community to be behind them. In the old days, when somebody went out to try out for a team, the first thing that was said about him was, you know, honestly, that was the first thing that was said, whether you were related to the guy or not. And we have on the page where we have our summer games. We need our athletes to step up and really want to be a somebody, want to be a Usain Bolt, you know, want to be the fastest man in the world or the fastest woman in the world. You know, you have to have that dream, you know, but you don't have to have it. You don't have to have anybody pushing you. You have to want it yourself as an athlete. You know, it's important, you know, because I mentioned when they had the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships in Bedford a couple of years back, and I was speaking to the kids from BC because I had to welcome them to Mi'kmaq territory. Anyway, I mentioned to them that how proud I would have been if Kerry Price, when he won the gold medal for Canada, if he would have had said, I love winning the gold medal for Canada, my ally. I would love to win the gold medal more for an Indigenous team that's recognized at the Olympics. If we don't talk about those dreams that we have, nobody will understand, nobody will look at the possibility of competing there as a nation. You know, we are the Mi'kmaq nation, and when we look at the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame, this is a start. This is a start for our communities. This is a start for our nation to rebuild itself. There were times when children were not even allowed to play ball or hockey outside of their communities. So it's important that we encourage each and every one of our children to take up a sport, you know, to get involved. They're also honoring Charlie Peter today. My goodness, Charlie Beale. I just always picture Charlie Beale, arriving with the bus, taking the time, always doing whatever he can to help his community. You know, I was always so proud of him. You know, I always missed him after he passed away, because these are the people that did it for the love of the sport of their communities. You know, and it's important that we remember that. It's important that kids remember that. You know? So with that, this is just the start of our Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Hall of Fame. We will probably have this every year, but it's important to remember our people, our athletes. There's so many athletes we have yet to honor, but their time will come. But it's important because it brings us back to a time when we remember how they practiced. I have to mention the Eskisoni Eagles, for example, that Joe Marshall, one of our last year's inductees, coached. And the Eskisoni Eagles were the Maritime Indian Hockey champions for 5 years in a row, you know, in the 70s and so forth. But the thing is, at the time, communities had their own hockey teams, and they would play down. They would have playoffs. So a hockey season ran from early March all the way up to May, because communities would have a best out of 3 or a best out of 5 playoff. And they would have a Cape Breton championship, they would have a Nova Scotia championship, and the Nova Scotia champion would meet New Brunswick or Quebec champion. It was like a playoff. It took you 2 months to win the title. We don't have that anymore. But I remember guys like Mike Denny, Paul Kenneth Sliboy, Paul Kenneth Francis. They used to train by wearing skates in their hockey gear and running up Mountain Road in the winter, running up Mountain Road in their skates. But that's the thing, that's the dedication that our athletes had at the time. And we don't have that anymore. So we have to sit up again as communities and bring that standard of not only education but athletics up a notch. We have to push our children, push our athletes to achieve greater things. We want, we are not only proud of them now, we want to be even more proud of them. I look back at many sports around the world. When you look at many athletes that are famous, many of them came from neighborhoods, for example, the ghetto, and you would ask, why is this athlete so good? Kids just play for the fun of it. They play because they didn't want to get involved in alcohol, drugs, and that kind of stuff. They just wanted to play. So let's let our kids play and make sure that we give them all the opportunities. I'm so proud of being here and being at the Summer Games, and I'd be so proud if one of our athletes, a runner maybe, would be running in the Olympics someday, representing the Mi'kmaq Nation. That should be our goal. And I'm so proud of the Hall of Fame. I really thank the Sports Council for setting this up for tripartite in the province. So, well, all the cheese and wonderful deal. Thank you very much. Well,
much, Grand Captain Denny. So now we come to the highlight of our evening. I'd like to call upon my lovely assistant, Levi, to come up and assist me, please. Noel Paul of Millbrook. Is that right, Colin? Millbrook? Sorry, I always get Millbrook and Sabina mixed up. Sorry. He was a member of the Halifax North Star Athletic Club. Was a runner most of his life, if not his whole life. He ran the Boston Marathon in 1932. Like G. Gepton said, he went there to win. He won the Cape Breton Marathon in 1933. A very accomplished runner in Nova Scotia. And one of the special quotes that's on his banner, he said, "Road racing, the finest sport of all in my books." So please welcome our newest inductee to the Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Sport Hall of Fame, Mr. Noel Paul. And we have a member of his family here, his granddaughter. She's come up and accept plaque from Chief Norman. I don't have to come all the way up to the stage if you don't like. And if you'd like to say a few words, mic's open if you... She's good. Okay. So thank you very much. So our next inductee was a fantastic athlete his whole life. I was told the story that at one point he was working at a job in Halifax in one of the summers of his youth, and one of the local Senior A fastball teams invited him out, and he became a fixture on the team and one of their best players. He went on to St. Dunstan's College, which is now known as UPEI, or University of Prince Edward Island. At UPEI, he played 3 sports at the varsity level: football, basketball, and track, I believe. And as G. Gepton said, he was winner of the Tom Longboat Award, top Indigenous athlete in Canada. He also coached, and he was one person that spent his whole life also promoting the importance of our Mi'kmaq language. Today we have our annual Mi'kmaq Sport Education Scholarship Award named in his honor, the G. Gibson Sports Education Memorial Award. So please welcome our next member of the Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Sport Hall of Fame, Alec Denny, and we'll have G. Gibson accept on his behalf.
Parce qu'il voulait dire, on a raconté des mots. On a de l'eau de voir, le droit de l'émine, il n'a pas eu ça. Il a eu ça. I'm going to do my note story. I'm just going to tell about a little story when he played football. And he was playing against St. FX at the time, with St. Dunstan's, and my father was quarterback. You know, it's ironic, right? He was a quarterback, but the proudest moment he ever had playing quarterback was when he threw a 67-yard touchdown pass with his left hand. Now, I say with his left hand because he was right-handed. Yeah, he threw the ball with his right hand, but at this time he was being chased, and he had to take the ball to his left hand and throw a pass with his left hand. And that just showed you the type of athlete that he was. But it was so important that his father woke him up under the bolo. He woke him up every morning at 7 a.m. My father was not allowed to sleep in because he was raised by his grandfather. And now, for those of you that know Lee Primo, that was his best friend, Lee Primo, also a famous Mi'kmaq. He was the maritime fiddling champion, Mi'kmaq. But Dad would wake up at 7 o'clock and he couldn't go over to Lee's to wake him up. Lee would still be sleeping. And he loved Lee so much that when Lee had the mumps, Dad slept with him, hoping to get the mumps also, but that never happened. But I just want to thank everybody for this very, we're just so proud, and I really want to congratulate the other recipients too, all of you.
Our next inductee, here in the community of Wamakuk, was involved in organizing and fundraising for the first ball field, very first hockey team in Wamakuk. He started the Youth Camp Society. I can also remember whenever we went to a tournament, I can remember Charlie Beale showing up on the bus, transporting all the athletes. Turn the bus off, walk off, go into the arena and coach the kids. He wasn't just a bus driver, he was also a coach, an organizer. He dedicated his whole life to sport and recreation for the community of Wamakuk. Wamakuk Elders Council quoted as saying, "He made sports fun, he made it possible." Please welcome our next 2017 inductee of the Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Sports Hall of Fame as a builder, Charlie Peter Google. We have a member of the family to accept on his behalf. Okay, yeah, my memory is pretty bad, so Colin asked me to announce something towards the end, and just that the banners will be displayed here in Wamakuk at the Cultural Center over the whole time of the summer games, and it'll also be circulated throughout the province in all of our communities. Each community will have opportunity to display the banners, and do some promotion of inductees. So once again, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Like I said, I got a bad memory in my old age, but just want to thank Tammy for the wonderful work she's done in a short amount of time. Tammy Williams. She's the one that did the interviews, research, running around, facilitating the ordering of the banners, and by all accounts, it's tremendously top-notch work. Thank you very much, Tammy. Very good job. So I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, the families, the community members, interested people. Of course, our guest speaker, G. Gupton, Mr. Aaron Nutting, and of course, Chief Norman Bernard and his community for hosting us here in Wamacoop for Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Summer Games. I know the weather's not cooperating right now, and as a result, schedules are getting challenging, but just be patient, folks. It's not easy organizing this type of event. There's 2,000 participants here. It's almost half the size of the North American Indigenous Games. So just be gentle with Terry and the community of Wamacoop.
It would be summer games without some rain.
Yeah.
That's right. It would not be summer games without some rain. So there's some refreshments provided in the back. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all our inductees, and we'll do it again in 2018 in Eskisoni. Laudio.